Oh my gosh, hello guys! Welcome back to my channel. My name is Dylan, and today I want to talk about a couple of yaoi manga that I read recently, and just kind of talk about them. Just kind of have a little discussion. Now I do want to say before I start this that this video is... I'm going to have a little trigger warning here. This video is going to be discussing some very sensitive, dark topics, so if there are any triggers for that, regarding non-consent, rape, and personal... I don't know how to describe it, really. Emotional distress and trauma. Just let you know, I want to let you know right now that I will be discussing that. This is probably going to be a very personal video for me. And I am going to possibly cry. So just to let you know about that, first and foremost. But the manga that I'm going to be discussing today are two Yakuza BL titles that I really enjoyed. I'm going to give a brief, talk before I get into the really deep stuff. So this might contain spoilers also. I'm not sure how far I'm going to go with this. In order to actually talk about it, I might go into spoilers. So let me just say I'm going to be talking about Twittering Birds Never Fly by Ko Yaneda, and I'm also going to be talking about Fourth Generation Head Tatsuyuki Oyamoto by Scarlet Buriko as well. Both of these contain Yakuza stories with very dark plots. And I will recommend them to you now if you are not triggered by anything like non-consent and something of that nature. I would recommend them both. They are both fantastic titles. But I want to get into some discussion on them because I feel like I need to. I feel like it'll be kind of therapeutic for me as well to do this. So let's get talking about it. So we're going to start with Twittering Birds Never Fly, because this one really touched my soul in a very personal way. I'm not going to go too much into plot details. I really just want to talk about the themes of the book. So, this is the story about a man named Yashiro who is part of the Yakuza. And Yashiro, when he was a young child, he was molested by his father, I believe. And Yashiro doesn't really let this affect him too much, or at least he doesn't think it does. He closes himself off from the trauma of it and becomes a very promiscuous man. He ends up having relationships with everybody in the Yakuza group, basically. He becomes the quote-unquote toilet of the Yakuza group. And I really just want to kind of discuss that and discuss the traumatic experience of it and how it affected his mind. And this is going to be my own personal interpretation of the story. I'm not saying this is the exact reason the author wrote the story. I could be wrong. There are multiple interpretations probably, but this is going to be my own personal take on it. It's also very important to note that the other character, Domeki, has also experienced trauma in the past. His younger sister was also molested, raped by his stepfather. And he had lost his job because he was a police officer. And when he walked in on that horrible, horrible scene, he ended up almost beating his father to death. Now, the reason I really, really appreciate this manga is because of how well that whole plotline is handled by the mangaka, because she truly understands trauma. I'm not sure if she's experienced it herself. I'm not claiming she has, but I will say that I felt a lot of things reading this book. I felt very personal, and in a lot of ways, I can relate to both characters. And I won't get too much into why. You can probably guess why. But it's so true. I want to also, before I get into that, I also want to discuss the title with you, because the title is incredibly important to the story, and I want to kind of dissect it with you. And this is also, again, my interpretation. There might be others, but what I think the title means. The title is about our two main characters, Domeki and Yashiro. They are both twittering birds. Mostly Yashiro, because I feel like Yashiro is very, because of his promiscuity, he has relationships with all these other people, but they're only physical relationships. And because of that, he doesn't let himself open up emotionally to anyone other than Domeki. At least, not too much though. I haven't gotten too far into it. Obviously, this is just the first 3 volumes. But because he doesn't get emotionally invested with anything, he never flies. Which means that he never lets himself truly be who he is, and never lets himself love anybody. That's my personal interpretation of the title. There might be something else I'm missing. I know Domeki is... It doesn't seem like he is as affected by the trauma. He is, but not as affected as Yashiro. That's my personal, thought, though. And again, I've only read these first 3 volumes. There could be more later on. Unfortunately, we never got any more after this, so I will never know what happens next. Unless someone relicense it. But this manga really, really got under my skin and just made me very emotional and very, I cried a lot. I did a lot of self-reflection because of this manga. And I really appreciate the mangaka for doing such a delicate job of discussing the trauma and giving us a character who is just so much like myself in a lot of ways, but also very different. It's very hard for me to open up to anybody. I have a lot of different issues that I'm not sure how much I want to tell you. But, it's hard opening up to anybody after something so traumatic. And it's hard even talking about it. Because this is something that is important, and it's so real. So real. And I really appreciate the mangaka for taking the time to tell this story. So, yeah, thank you, Ko Yaneda, for doing this and being so true and honest about it. Okay, we're gonna switch gears and talk about 4th generation head Tatsuyuki Oyamoto now. This is a brand new title from Scarlet Bariko, and this is a one-shot title, part of a series, actually, which I don't know if we'll get any other volumes of, but I would really like to. Kind of like a serial series based on different characters, I think. And anyway, it's about a man, Tatsuyuki, who is a playboy, and he also works for the Yakuza. And Tatsuyuki does have a traumatic past as well, not in the same way, but his friend, the other character is Nozomi Koga. He is a masseur, though they don't really discuss that too much in the manga. It talks about it on the back, but I didn't really see how he was a masseur. But there are some problematic things in this manga. At the very beginning, I will say, I just want to tell you, The very beginning is Koga finds Tatsuyuki, and he finds him drunk, and he takes him home, and he sleeps with him. And I don't know if I would call it non-consent, because Tatsuyuki thought it was somebody he knew, but it wasn't. Or rather, he didn't know that he knew that person, so I'm not sure if that would be problematic for you. It wasn't that bad for me, because Koga is a very, very sweet person. And that doesn't make what he did right, but I don't see it really as a very problematic thing. It was very brief, too, and he does have remorse for what he did later on, so I just want to mention that before I go any farther, because that is something that might not be okay for you, and I just wanted to let you know about that. But, again, I want to say that both of these characters do have very traumatic pasts. Koga, in particular, was also very much like Yashiro in Twittering Birds Never Fly. He was forced to do some very disgusting things because of his father. And our main character, Tatsuya, ends up being somebody that Koga can rely on and trust. And I really, really, really loved their relationship in this book. I really loved it a lot. I found Koga also to be very, very different from Yashiro as well, just to mention that too, because Koga is a very bubbly person. He has a very happy personality, and he doesn't let the trauma really affect him too much. At least, I mean, you see it, but he doesn't let it show. And that's really important to note, because a lot of people are like that. A lot of people will be very bubbly and happy and smiley, and you don't know what happens behind their smiles. And I just want to say that it's okay to be depressed or mentally have mental issues, anxiety. It's okay. And if you're like that, I love you. And I see you. I just want to say that. But I really love how these two characters bring each other up, because this is a relationship about two people with traumatic pasts that use love in order to get past it and overcome it. And I really, really love that theme. I thought it was beautiful, beautifully told. And I really, really love this couple a lot. Now, I also want to mention some other problematic things that might be not very good for you. So, there is another character who is on the back of this book. That guy, that piece of shit, is the antagonist of the story. He is one of the leaders of the Yakuza group, or at least one of a Yakuza group. And he uses Tatsuyuki's body for very naughty things, and he is not a good man. And I didn't appreciate that aspect. It is for drama, and it is to have an antagonist, and I understand that. And also I want to also mention that both of these men are over the age of 21. Tatsuyuki is 24, and I'm assuming the other Koga is also around the same age. I don't know Koga's actual age, but I also want to just mention that is important to you as well. It might be. But I also did not like that plotline, mostly because I just love these characters so much. So it did its job. It showed how, it did the drama, and it added some more smut that was not very sexy, because it's not a good thing to happen. But what I really want to say, where's the other one, about these two manga, is that I can appreciate how both of these different artists took such a traumatic and dark topic and wrote it in a way that is true and honest, and I really, really appreciate that. That's why I really wanted to make this video. I wanted to talk about that, and I wanted to discuss it. I'm also just feeling a lot of things, so I'm not sure how this video turned out. I hope it worked out for you. I hope that I could help you in some ways. I hope that if you are going through something traumatic, or if you are dealing with depression or anxiety or anything mental health related, that it works out for you and that you can find some help and be the best person that you can be, because that is very important, and I see you and I appreciate you. So if any of you guys read this manga or either of these, let me know in the comments below what you think of them. I hope this video was okay. I hope it was alright for me to kind of discuss something a little different, a little more dark on my channel. I'm not sure if I'm going to even upload this. We will see. But thank you for listening. I really, really appreciate it. I really, really do. I wanted to do this because it's important to me. So thank you. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and please remember, for the love of all that is gay, stay sexy.